Midwest Adventures. I'm Jenny, and I am doing the introduction of Animal Farm, Part 1. Yes, I'm doing it in parts because when I tried to do the whole introduction, for example, it took an hour. My head hurt very bad at that time. Let's get started on the introduction of Animal Farm. The two novels that you now hold in your hands have become modern classics. In every case of both those terms, they are taught in many schools as example of moral weight and political experience, presence, and they are still read for pleasure, excitement, and instruction, even by young people who have not been subject to adult inculcation. They contain several terms and expressions: thought police, doublethink, newspeak. Some animals are more equal than others that have entered our discourse, as surely as Catch-22, Tina Turner's album, Private Dancer, even included a song written by David Bowie, even entitled 1984, replete with menacing references to mind control and cruelty, which conveyed the vague but frightening premonition of a frigidly controlled future as apprehended by those to whom 1984 is a date in the remote but recent past. In the less distant past, these books used to be banned in every country under communist rule, and they are still occasionally suppressed in the remaining single-party despots that disfigure the globe. As I write, while Animal Farm is sometimes forbidden reading in the Islamic world because of its focus on pigs. Even as I begin to write this introduction, a stage version of Animal Farm was being produced by a bold theater group in Beijing, where the novel itself is still officially unobtainable. So wide and so secure is Orwell's reputation, in other words, that it can be shocked to release that both of his masterpieces were nearly aborted or strangled at birth. Animal Farm was almost denied publication in 1984. Had to be finished in a terrible, desperate burst of energy on the part of a man who knew that he was dying. Probably nothing would have surprised their author more than their orthodox esteem in which his last two novels are now held. He never in his life expected to be required reading in respectable schools. They consider continued sincereship would have surprised him much less. Animal Farm was written during the Second World War, at a time when London was being bombed by the Nazis and Churchill's Britain was an official friend of Saints Russia. Orwell despised Hitler and fascism, and had fought and been wounded as a volunteer soldier for the Spanish Republic, but he chose this unpublicious moment to write a deadly stater on the illusion of Soviet communism. The original manuscript had to be dug out in a somewhat scorched and crumpled state from the ruins of Orwell's villagized North London home. In this condition, it was sent to T.S. Eliot, the author of the Wasteland, who occupied the extremely influential position of editor at Faber and Faber. Eliot was tremendly influential position of editor at Faber. Eliot was a political and cultural conservative of the determined right, and might have been presumed sympathetic to an anti-socialist project, but he turned the book down in a letter of extreme condescension, which described it as generally Trotskyite. This was bizarrely enough the same objection that had been made by Orwell's leftist opponents. A sincere official in the British made by Orwell's leftist opponents. A senior fellow in the British Ministry of Information named Peter Smollett made it but his busyness to warn publishers against accepting the book. Is sustainable rational was the Joseph Stalin, I think, was an ally of Great Britain, that it would be tactless to punish a satire upon him. The likelihood that the Red Army would have kept fighting in 1944. For this reason, it was clearly not very great. But comfortist and loyalist opinions is always easy to elect, and the evidence that publisher Jonathan Cape, for example, dropped the book of Smollett's in stagnation is very strong. Smollett himself was later exposed as an agent of Soviet secret intelligence, whose job was to defend the protagonist's prestige of Stalinism rather than to support the war effort. Other publishers like Victor Gollancz a leftist sympathizer who had printed earlier Orwell's work, needed no persuasion in denying him an audience. For the 20th century, most successful satire. In the end, the small house of Setzer, the Warburg, agreed to publish Animal Farm in a very small edition for an advance of 45 English pounds, or 2,020 expressed in today's value. That's a lot of money. However, a group of Ukrainian socialists living in refuge camps in post-war Europe got hold of a copy of the book and immediately understood its profound relevance. They contacted Orwell, who agreed to write the only introduction to Animal Farm that he ever composed, and would give them the right to reprint to reprint the work in the Ukrainian language for free. This edition was distributed among refugees in Germany, but most copies were seized by the American military authorists. This well after the war against Hitler was over, and handed over to the Red Army to be burned. It was originally refused by the Daily Press on the absurd grounds that animal stories did not sell well in America, and though it was declined by Agnes, the comrade of the Random House after author Schillinger Jr., hopefully I'm saying that right, had sent him a copy. Cameron was a leading communist fellow traveler and did eventually see print from Harcourt Brace in 1946. By that time, Orwell had only a few years to live and was too exhausted himself, physically and mentally, by writing and then typing up 1984. The contrast between the two books is an extraordinary one, which partially reflects on Orwell's own race against time. Denary one which partially reflects Orwell's own race against time. Animal Farm, with its original tongue-in-cheek subtitle, A Fairy Story, is biting but essential, good-natured. The pastoral setting of the resurging Pantana, Mr. Jones, the wicked farmer, is also a figure of fierce. The fate of some creatures, most obviously noble workhouse boxer, has additional pathos and tragedy in Boxer's case because of his dumb, genuine bravery. But the pigs are the pigs, and they are amusing as well as nasty in their anthropomorphism. Many children have enjoyed the book for its own sake. It had lists of the story of the Soviet Union and its ruthlessness, church and its ruthlessness, witlust, collectivization, and Martin Amis in Money has a hilarious passage in which his dumb ox of a narrator, John Self, is given a copy of the novel and laboriously makes the self-same mistake. And I am going to stop there because my 15 minutes is up. So, my favorite part in this part of the introduction is the explanation. The book is pretty nice and pretty detailed with lots of words that are confusing when they're partially on one side and partially on the other side. So, the ghost cats will show up right there behind this pole if they can fit. They will fit. Let me just make enough room. Okay, now they can fit. And they will show up here in 3, 2, 1 with the bee right there. Now. Okay. So, please like and subscribe so we can get to 1,000 subscribers so we can start beekeeping. Like the little big bee right there. Good little bee, good little bee. Big bee. And good little kitties, good little kitties. So please hit that subscribe button so we could start our own beekeeping business. And so that we can have more fun in the future. Okay? If you want to see more of the introduction, please hit that subscribe button. If you don't, hit that like button. Okay? I think that's it. Okay. Bye-bye! You still down here? Do you want to do the boop? Boop. Bye.